Previously on MaudeWorld.
You begin to run down the mountainside. You see a rushing river.
I suppose it's better not to die here. Into the river!
You see that the wolf is just ragdolling the young girl. You are all lifted up out of the water on the back of an enormous shell. Eventually, you come to a very large lake. Its form has shifted into something bipedal. This individual is a tortle. My name is Orok. San. I didn't see her.
They killed her.
There's nothing you could have done.
They ate that poor girl's throat out.
I tried to guide them as best I could. And I did for a while. And then he came. His name is Thor. And over the course of this night, you all begin to dream. Sleep comes surprisingly easily to all of you. Having drunk the tea that Orok, your new turtle friend, has provided, you all find yourself drifting down into deep sleep. Into dream, as a matter of fact. So, to start from the left.
You hear a squeak.
It's rats.
Everywhere.
Briganzian, you do shake your eyes open as you hear a just sudden squeak of a chair being pulled back. You look around and you're home. Everything seems so much larger than it was the last time you were there. You look down and you seem to be yourself, but things seem different, as if of a younger time. You look to your right as you sit at your childhood dining room table and you see Sam, the young druidic girl who you saw murdered not a few hours ago. She looks at you with curiosity and turns to you and says, in common, "What's wrong?"
Like specifically or in general? Because it's not been a good couple of days.
Days come and go.
Aye, well, not for you anymore.
No. Doesn't mean they stop coming and going.
I suppose. But it's never that simple.
No. But the fact that I'm here and you're here, something significant.
Right, well, on that topic, what is here? What's going on?
You tell me. It's your dream.
Yeah, but they're not usually this lucid. And I'm usually drunker.
You hear a knock at the door from the hallway outside of the kitchen, dining room. You hear the door opening and you hear a female voice answer. Yes, hello, can I help you? And you recognize the voice of your mother. You can hear another voice at the door. You can't quite make it out. And you, just out of curiosity, get down from the table and start walking forward, and then it's an odd sensation. The memory hits you. You remember this time, this place, this day. This was the day news of your father reached home. What's wrong?
My mom's just being told that, well, my dad died.
Oh? I'm sorry.
It's a long time ago. Suppose that kind of explains why you're here. Hadn't quite recognized it at first.
Maybe. I'm not really sure. As I said, it's your dream.
Well, I never did find out what happened. But I can get justice for you, if not for him.
Justice is a funny thing. Sometimes it has a way of finding you. No matter how hard you try to find or avoid it.
In my experience, sometimes it uses a helping hand.
Maybe. As I said, it's your dream. And she turns. You look back towards the direction of the front door from the voices. You can hear silence. You glance back and Sam has gone without a trace. And you just stand there, alone in your childhood kitchen. And the last thing you hear before blackness takes you again is the sound of your mother trying not to cry. Fella, you awake, and it's an odd sensation. You're barely more used to waking up than you are going to sleep. But you look around and you also find yourself in a familiar place. You find yourself in a meadow, just outside of the farm where you grew up. You would go walking here in your youth, and you had spare moments, what spare moments you had. Looking out over the great swaths of plains of the area of Damerus where you're from, the east. Looking out and seeing the great Nileron forest in the distance. It's a beautiful view. It's a beautiful spring day. And as you stand in this meadow, looking out over the slight decline, over the beautiful, beautiful, magnificent vista before you, you can hear the voice of your parents calling to you, calling you to come into dinner. You give them a moment. Dinner will keep. And as you continue to look out over this beautiful landscape, the landscape changes. It shifts in sudden, almost infinitesimally small flashes. You find yourself looking, and almost with every blink, it changes. From the beautiful idyllic landscape to a similar landscape, laid out in a similar fashion, but much more vibrant. The colours incredibly oversaturated. The sky, a brilliant, bright, almost yellow colour. You hear sounds. Many, many sounds that should not be here. You hear sounds of battle. You hear sounds of screaming. You stand there, rooted to the spot. And as this vision coalesces more and more in front of you, you can hear more distinct phrases. My lady, we must go. We must go. There is no time. They are coming. There is no time. We must go. You look around, looking for the source of this voice. You can see, off towards your left, a group of individuals, armoured in beautiful yellow and gold armour that is almost melded onto their bodies. These individuals are supernaturally beautiful. They are elven to a degree, but they are more than that. Some of them seem to be Eladrin, some of them seem to be something far, far more beautiful and something that you just don't recognize at this time. You stand there and you hear a voice come from you that is not your own. I will go when I am ready, not a moment before, my lady. Their forces are coming now. We cannot possibly hold them off for much longer. We do not have a choice. We must. You turn to face this individual, and you can feel yourself glaring with a rage that is not your own. The individual bows his head, backs away. And then you hear again, Bella, dinner, comes to you. You turn to leave, and then you hear, my lady, what are you doing? You cannot go that way. You'll be killed. For the love of all that is sacred. But you continue going. And as these sounds build around you, the beautiful idyllic birdsong in one ear, the screams and cries of battle and the roars of beasts in the other, you just hear the two voices. The one of just the insistent calling of, Vala, I'm not going to tell you again, dinner. And just the pleading, heart-wrenching, my lady, please, please. And then you turn. The vision dissipates. And you head down to go into dinner. As you walk down the hill, you just feel blackness take you again. Damerus. You find yourself sitting in a lecture hall. The day is hot, and everyone is just sitting there, and everyone is, you read the vibe of the room pretty easily, everyone's very antsy, everyone's eager to get out of here. Were there a clock, people would be watching it. You look forward and you see, you're taken aback for a moment, you see a face you've not seen in some years. You see Professor Ala, your elven lecturer, professor, the chief expert of Lumerian history at the Celestial Spire Hall. Her very, very, very short blonde hair, cut very neatly. Her tall figure, her slender form is familiar, but you have that momentary sensation of surprise of, oh, I've not seen her in a long... What am I talking about? I saw her yesterday. And as you're sort of, just sort of having this moment of blinking and blanking in the hot summer sun, listening to her drone on about something indistinct, a young halfling woman turns to you and just goes, on and on and on and on, am I right?
Well, yes, I mean, somewhat interesting, I suppose.
To your left, a human male says, interesting. Really? She's been over this a dozen times. Ugh. Fuck this, I want to get out of here.
Do I know these two people?
You do.
Yeah. Right, well... Grigori, listen, we need to learn all of these things. It's a foundation, you understand? It's not just boring on and on and on. We need to know where we're going.
It is boring on and on and on when she's already been over it 3 dozen times.
Yes.
Look, don't know about you, Damerus, but I'm getting out of here. And he sort of jerks over his shoulder, and you look behind you, and you can see you're all sitting sort of towards the back of the tiered lecture hall, and you see there's a doorway in the back of the at the back of the hall with stairway with stone steps leading downwards, and you think, wait, that shouldn't be. No, of course that's always been there. And the halfling turns to you and goes, yeah, I'm with Grigori. Come on.
Fine. Well, you need to understand, the pair of you, you're both a terrible influence on me.
Takes one to know one. And the two wait for a moment when Arla has turned her face, turned her back to you, and they slip out towards the back of the hall.
I follow.
The human male stops at the top of the stairs and goes, Dana, ladies first. She gives him a look and punches him on the hip and then leads the way down.
Yep, I follow after you.
You continue your way down these stairs into darkness. You feel confident that you can see where you're going despite the pitch blackness, and your two companions, despite not seeing super well in the dark, don't seem perturbed by it at all. As you continue downstairs, you you hear a voice in the back of your head. Says, "And where do you think you're going, young man?" And you recognize it as the voice of your mother. You don't see anything. You're still descending downstairs into blackness, but that is what you hear.
I kind of just, try and look around as best I can in the darkness. I'm like, nowhere exciting.
Nowhere exciting, says the voice of your father.
Well, no, it's just, you have to understand, I'm not the kind of person that can stay and run a tavern, I need to see the world.
See the world. Not good enough for you, is it?
Well, it's not that it's not good enough for me, it's just, I don't know, didn't you ever want to see the world?
After all we've done for you. I don't know, it seems... I'm not sure I can think of the word. Can you, dear? No. But... I'm sure that something will happen sooner or later. And at this point, you're not sure how, but you get an impression of these presences leaving. And then the screaming starts. You look around in the darkness, suddenly getting the impression of being in an open space. You're not sure how large. You sort of reach around trying to find any semblance of stairs. They're gone. And all you can hear is the screaming sounds and, "Help! Damerus! Damerus, help!"
I run towards the noise as best I can, obviously.
You keep running forward, and you see a light far in the distance. You run forward and forward and forward and forward, and the last thing you see as the screams continue to fill your ears and the sound of collapsing rock deafens you almost. The last thing you see is the two individuals, the human and the halfling, turn towards you, and with a final scream, an enormous rock cuts off your vision, and blackness takes you. Ester, you open your eyes, and you look around, and you are in a familiar space. An enormous temple, one you know well. It's strangely empty, and as you find yourself sitting in one of the pews, you sort of put your hand just to rest it on the empty seat beside you, and you pull your hand away, and it's covered in dust. You look around and you see that there's a lot of dust around everywhere here. And your eyes are drawn towards the back of the temple, where you know the shrine, the standard shrine to the Faith of the 12, the semicircle with the individual little shrine sits. You get up and walk forward towards it. It too is covered in dust. You hear suddenly as the large temple doors open. There is night and dark beyond. From out of this doorway emerge a pair of figures, both cowled, one taller than the other, the shorter one moving in front of the taller. You see no impression of skin or no impression of features from either of these two individuals. They glide towards you and stop a few feet from you. Their black hoods turn towards you.
Hello. Hello? Can I see anything now that they're closer? Their faces or...
No. The taller figure doesn't move, just keeps looking at you. The shorter figure, the taller figure, you can see the robes slightly different, is dressed purely in black. The shorter one in the front, its robes are more grey, with a slight hint of very, very deep blue to it. The individual, this front individual, steps forward, looks at you, looks around at the temple. A house of faith requires proper maintenance.
I know, I'm sorry, I don't know how this happened. I was here not long ago. I keep it clean as I can. I don't know what's happened.
The figure, the blue-grey figure, steps forward and reaches out a enrobed, gloved hand and sort of just wipes at a nearby pew. The dust begins to swirl up and around you, the tiny little bit, relatively speaking, forming into an enormous image. You see happy, laughing figures. Again, figures that look familiar. Figures of individuals who came to your home and who changed everything. Those adventurers.
Oh.
The figure just looks. Again, the front, the shorter figure, looks up at the dust show, and then looks back to you.
You're with them then? Come to poke some more fun? Play some pranks? Did you do the dust? Did you enjoy it? Spreading it around? Or did you come here when no one was paying attention? You know the walls are down. Well, I hope you are amused. I do. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have much cleaning to do now. If you're quite done with your little game.
You feel. You don't see or hear, but you suddenly feel an immense, almost an immense pressure on the back of your head.
It's not funny. Stop it.
Your mouth seals. As you just... The only thing you can see is that the figure in black has leant forward, ever so subtly. Its attention gazed directly on you. The blue and grey figure says, You are afraid, child. Yeah.
Not of you. Afraid of your bad manners. Ha! Get out. Please.
The two figures lean forward more. The figure in black just looks beyond you. You feel yourself turn instinctively, and you see that the altar, the shrine, there is flame.
No! I try to put it out as best I can.
You try, you sort of bat at the flame. It only seems to intensify it. You hear the voice of the blue-grey figure say once again, "Oh, child, you will have much more to be afraid of before the day is done. Before your day is done." The fire grows and spreads, and soon you can see just the entire temple around you is burning. You somehow stand in the middle of it all, unburned, unaffected. The two figures turn to leave. The blue-grey figure walks out of the open doors into the blackness, and the black figure just turns and looks unfathomably towards you before walking out itself. And the last thing that you experience before blackness takes you, you turn to the shrine once again. You can see it crumbling in flames, and you just see a figure walking out of the flames. An elderly woman whom you remember. And just as you seem to recognize the figure, blackness takes you once again. Herb. You awake, and you feel good. You feel spry and limber. You feel fit. But then, why wouldn't you? That's ridiculous. You wouldn't have any reason not to feel spry and fit. That's ridiculous. You look around and you can see various individuals. Their faces are blurred. You can't make out their details, but you look at them all and you know these people. You know these people, you trust every one that you see. You know every one of those names, and yet you can't remember any of them. You find yourself in a room, an armory of sorts. Checking, you sort of find yourself buckling into armor. You find yourself looking over weapons, going over forms, just out of habit more than anything. And you hear hustle and bustle out in the corridor. And you know that it's time. You walk out of the armory doing a final check on everything, and you follow your friends, your comrades, down the hall. You go into a large common area, which has a kind of makeshift stage set up. There are various seats strewn around. You walk in and you can see there are about a dozen various seats around. All sort of different types. You know, there are some stools, there's an armchair, there's it's a whole bunch of different things, and The place very much feels like home. As your faceless friends all arrive one by one, you can feel the excited energy in the air. Today, after all, is the day. Eventually, everyone arrives, and another individual walks up onto sort of the little stage. This individual, she, he, they, you can't remember, but you trust them. This is the individual who brought you all together. This is the individual whom you trust more than any other. And with good reason. Whatever that is. The individual, their face a blur, stands up. And clears their throat. The voice is understandable but slightly distorted. Again, you can't sort of make out if this is a man or a woman, or what gender they ever may be. The individual looks around the room, looks everyone in the eye. Right. This is it. You know your jobs. We've done all that we can now. The rest is in the hands of the gods. I'm not going to tell you again why this matters, how important it is. You all know that. I know some of us aren't going to come back from this. That's not the point. We left behind our own desires a long time ago. There's a few laughs. We do this for those that can't help themselves. We do this for all free peoples. We do this for Damer. We do this for Libraria. Gods go with you all. There are no words for what an honor it has been. Let's go. There's no cheers. There's no sense of triumph in this. There is only what must be done. You walk out of the doors into just an empty field of white. You can hear all sorts of disparate sounds. You hear cries of help, cries of triumph. You hear screams of pain, and you hear alien sounds. You hear screams of denial and desperation, as if, how could any of this be happening? You hear sounds that you remember perfectly well and yet not at all. And for the briefest of moments, before blackness takes you again, you are the old man once more. And the final thing you hear before the blackness takes you is just that's it. Eventually, consciousness comes to you all. Different times, you all wake up, you feel physically and mentally refreshed as much as you can do. You will gain the benefits of the long rest, and for the benefits of the audience, the party is now level 4. Dream XP for the win. So,
delicious backstory.
So, you all come to consciousness at varying points over the course of the morning. The sun, some of you having slept outside, some of you inside. The sun is glittering off the cold mountain lake. And the morning is cold, but not bitterly so. You feel a strange just warmth in your bones. Seems that tea did a number on you all. Over the course of the morning, as you all wake up, you see Orok, your tortle friend, drawing water from the lake. He goes, good morning to you all. I was just about to cook breakfast.
What was in that tea? I had this crazy dream. Anybody else?
Wait, did you sleep?
Yeah. Is that what it feels like to sleep? You see weird shit in your brain? I don't like it.
Often. I didn't like it either.
No. It was certainly interesting, I suppose.
Get used to it after a few years.
It was weird though. What do you normally dream about? Is it just weird made up stuff? Because I didn't know what it was.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Mine are really boring usually. I just go about what would be a normal day. With small things changing in strange ways.
Huh.
Like instead of a tree, it's a giant boot. But I'm doing chores, so...
Huh.
Zorok's boiling the water. He turns to you all with concern and goes, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't distress you. It was just meant to... That's strange. I apologize. I didn't think you'd have such vivid dreams.
Is there still tea? Or like remnants?
I want to see some shit.
Oh, crazy shit.
I don't know, this giant boot.
Boots full, everyone falls.
Boot's full, but everyone's walking.
Is I mean, not of that batch, Bella, but, well, depending on how today goes, I suppose. I can make more.
Can I have a look at it?
Look at what?
At the tea, what it's made out of.
Certainly. Certainly. Please, come inside.
I will.
It's water and just a little dash of LSD.
Some of these mushrooms from over there.
It's a memory.
Yeah. It's a little bit every morning.
It takes the edge off.
So he leads you inside, and he sort of goes back into his kitchen, into all of his little cupboards, and sort of goes into his little pantry of the kitchen and gets out a little bag, and yes, this is the
Is there
stuff.
lots of tea that I can see?
There's a bit, like, it's all sort of, the brief glance you get at the pantry, it's all kind of like unmarked bags, basically. But he seems to, know
He knows. Yeah.
where all of it is.
Organised chaos.
Sound like the printed leaves on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Was it? It was loose leaf to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, obviously they wouldn't have tea bags, would they?
No.
Probably not.
I mean, underground trains.
Not here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, Orok, out in the middle of the Yormonrus Mountains, does not have tea bags.
Cool. I just want to take a bit and just kind of sniff it and see if I can tell what it's made out of.
Whoa!
Make a nature check.
If you snort it, it does different shit.
Vala died that afternoon.
Remember, kids,
don't
we're
control
not
it.
experiencing the trip of our life.
22.
22. You
It smells like leaves.
you sort of look at it and you sort of take some of the different mixtures in your hand, and it's like, and you've studied plenty of plants in your time, and you studied 420 varieties of plants in your time.
Wait, is this Vela or Sarah?
Yes. And
Sometimes they are one.
and you sort of go through the bag and sort of you recognise a few different types of plants, and they seem to be from quite a lot of different places. You recognise some herbs that come from the Nilaron forest, which is mostly in the kingdom of Sigranor, where you learned a lot of your trade, and some of the Nilaron forest comes over to Daemar. And you then look and you find there's at one point you find a very deep purple black leaf, which it takes you a moment then, but you also recognise this. This is Ever's leaf. It comes. It's a pretty rare type of plant that grows grows in very specific patches of the Zaubwald forest.
The where, sorry?
Zaubwald. Zaubwald.
Cool.
Which is a forest that is far to the northeast. It is beyond the borders of the clanship, beyond the borders of Daemar and Sigranor, which is kind of protected by sort of three mountain ranges, so to speak. You've got this sort of mountain range here, you've got Daemar and Sigranor here, you've got the vast Avundus wastes to the east, and the Zaubwald crosses over a lot of different areas, including the north of the Avundus wastes and also south to to a distant northern kingdom, the kingdom of Weistenmar. Zaubwald is very different to the Nilaron forest. You've never been there, but you've heard stories. The Zaubwald seems to be, all of the stories seem to be of, the stereotype there is, the spooky forest.
Mm-hmm.
It's, all sort of dark forests seem to, draw their lineage, so to speak, from the Zaubwald.
Mm-hmm.
You've never been there, but you've heard many stories, and clearly Orok is, if he's got rare herbs from deep in that forest, he's very well travelled.
Mm-hmm.
You're not entirely sure what this herb does, but it's given just sort of the eclectic makeup of this tea, of all the different herbs, the dreams might make sense as a result of that,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not sure.
Okay. Oh. So this is from far away, this Ever's leaf.
Yes, it's very rare.
Mm.
Not sure how it came up with that name, to be honest, given that it's not very common.
Huh. So have you been there? Have you been to the forest where it's grown, or how did you get this?
I come from very, very far to the east. As I say, it's been many years. I've forgotten where exactly, but I've travelled throughout all the continent of Inspera, and I've been to the Zarpwald on occasion.
Wow.
Not a particularly pleasant place.
Oh. Spooky, right?
Somewhat. Interesting, but that place holds secrets. I much prefer it here. Oof.
I'd love to see it though. Maybe I'll see it one day.
Maybe. Just tread with care.
Thank you. Can I have some of your tea to take with us? I really want to know more about what happens when you go to sleep. Because it's weird, but, you know, I figure there's more to whatever my brain story's trying to tell me.
Stories?
Yeah. I mean, some of it was me, and then some of it was something entirely different. I don't know what it was.
Huh.
I agree.
Forgive me if this is a question that is out of place. I realise we've only just met. But do you remember where you've come from?
No.
Interesting. Well, I'm a big believer in looking forward, but, well, it doesn't matter. Come, and he sort of, starts gathering a few more, bits and pieces of breakfast, and I promise I won't put any animals in it this time. And he
Thank you.
walks out.
Do we gather outside by the pot? The big old pot.
Alice goes to Drakensien and just sort of stands right in front of him and just says, "It's good to see you, boy." Gives him a hug.
Thanks, Grandad. It's
And
good to,
totters away.
good to see you too.
Was he pickpocketing you?
I don't know.
Find 10 gold missing.
I had one of those crazy dreams where you wake up and you've got no trousers on, and I realise, oh wait, I never have any.
I've given up fighting that battle. Tell you what though, what did he do with my dinner last night? I'm hungry. I didn't eat.
Yes, you did. And you ate half
I
the
didn't.
feathers.
No, I dididn't.
It's the first time he's ever
he
turned down
refused.
food.
I didn't. I regret that
I
now.
picked the bits out of it because I didn't want the meaty bits. And I gave them to Drake and he wouldn't.
Excuse me.
Orok comes back out with Bella at this point and goes, yes, Drake, was it?
That's the one. Yeah. So I wasn't hungry last night, but now I'm double hungry.
4 breakfasts, please.
Right?
And
Just the 2 would be fine.
Orok cracks a smile and goes, of course, my friend. Have as much as you like. I'll just put this one on and then I'll go and get some more.
I like him. Even if he was late to the party.
He starts just putting the breakfast on and goes back inside for second breakfast.
So I don't know about you guys, but I have literally shit all. Apart from the clothes in my back.
Oh yeah, we have nothing.
You've got magic totems, right?
I can still do some magic.
That's
what are we wearing?
I can throw rocks. Very good at this.
Robes.
Cool.
Our clothes were in there, weren't they? We found our clothes. But no.
We were wearing our clothes, they took all our armour and shot.
You have your small items, so you have whatever healing potions you have.
Oh, sweet.
You have Vela and Ester's foci. No, you wouldn't have. And I will say any sort of anything that could be classed as, a small item that is not valuable. So no rings or purses or wine bottles. But any sort
Pretty
of
much everything I have.
small,
Yeah, I don't think I have anything.
yeah, no, and like no sort of, you know,
thieves' tools, my
That's not.
everything.
no. But
We'll
your
get you a
thieves'
stick.
tools,
It's not the same.
no, I'd say your thieves' tools would be in there because I imagine they're in sort of like, you know, a little roll.
Yeah,
So those I would say are in there.
that's good.
But no sort of
And get new ones.
no sort of explorers packs or anything like that because those I imagine are larger sort of things.
Yeah.
So I have a healing potion. I have nothing but the clothes of my dink.
Yeah.
I have this.
That's all I have too.
Yes,
What are we going to do?
I don't know, but we need to do something. We can't leave Burden and the girl up there.
I mean, how could we possibly... How could we get back with no money and no weapons?
And Burden's almost certainly dead.
Or they will be if we don't move quickly. I don't suppose our fancy new friend has anything we can borrow.
Can we ride you?
Maybe if you ask nicely.
Please.
Orok comes back with another parcel of food and goes, I'm sorry?
Would you be willing to escort us back to rescue our friends, please?
Also to get our shit back.
Yes.
That would be great.
I did have a suggestion on that front. The thing you have to understand about the children is that they are
The worst.
Brainwashed.
that would be perhaps the kind of way.
I think one of your chickens is loose.
I'll deal with that in a moment.
How do you think he's controlling them? Is it the potions? Or some mind control magic?
I think that it's just plain old-fashioned intimidation. This Thor, he is like an alpha of sorts. He intimidates the others into following his will. He enforces his will with Dorse and Bor, his two lieutenants. It is a psychological hold more than anything else.
But we saw people with the red eyes and the kind of... Like, that's not just psychological.
Who did you see?
Sans dad.
That
boy.
That's Bor.
That one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's... Yeah, whoever. They don't really care, they're all fucking
And the young
psychopaths.
lad.
Yeah.
They did too, no?
No, I think he was just a little cunt.
A little? Never mind.
I'm not bitter, you're bitter.
Orok says, I did have one suggestion. Now, I'm just one man, I'm open to suggestions, but I know of another way up there. It's not an easy path, and they may well be watching it. But if you can make your way up there, you will be able to end up right on the plateau. I don't know how much you saw of their home. I presume they were keeping you out on the stone pillars.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the plateau?
Did we see the
Did we
plateau?
see-
You saw, so if these are the pillars, where you are is the sort of where you were standing, and that's kind of more of a path, essentially, that wound round, round Alex, so to speak, and then led up to an area that you couldn't see, and that was where you saw Thor and the procession come from and go back up to.
So did it seem like that might be where the settlement is, or just where they started the procession?
Potentially, you did see there were some buildings in the area that you saw, but that seemed to be where they were coming from. Orok said he describes the area and goes, round that edge there is a crude staircase that leads up to a open plateau. It is there that Thor performs his sacrifices. I am not completely certain of what he does, why he does it, but when I fought him, his eyes were this bloodshot you described. I saw him consume something.
Tea.
No, not tea. It was a foreign substance, something I have never seen before. It was... It was an orb of some almost incorporeal material. It was grey and crackling and red and black, and it was thoroughly unpleasant, whatever it was, even just to look at. It seemed to empower him. I don't know what it is or where he got it, but it would go a long way to explaining his power. He seemed euphoric almost when he consumed it. It wouldn't surprise me if he was giving this to his lieutenants as well, whatever it may be.
Why do you think they want anything to do with us? We were just happily on our way on our little train.
Well, we bumped into them before, didn't we, in the woods?
Well,
I suppose.
We should.
actually, I can't
Well,
remember.
They kidnapped, what's her name, the girl.
Shana.
They kidnapped
Of
Shana.
course.
That's where we
Well,
first
you
ran into.
poked our noses in, I guess. That was all.
You did also see...
Hashtag hieroglyphics.
I was unconscious, but I know something.
you did also see other individuals out on those other platforms whom you didn't recognise.
That's right, yeah.
Was that German guy?
Oh yeah, that
Who
big
was
bag.
bird and was like
Pieces.
enemy guy who
Urian.
Well, he sold us
Oh,
out
yeah.
to them. Yeah.
and then got killed.
Yeah.
Or he
Something like that.
He hasn't been
betrayed.
killed yet. They betrayed him and captured him with
Yeah.
us.
He sold us out, that's how they got us.
Yeah, so we
I
can
was
leave.
just sitting there, but I was asleep at this point.
We can leave him on the surface, right?
Yeah,
Fuck that.
absolutely.
Also, that means that there are some basilisks going to spare.
If we can find his stuff. Yeah.
It's probably with our
That'll
stuff.
be like on the train.
Exactly. Conveniently. Right, so there's like this back way into the place.
Yes. I confess, I have been wanting to make up for my mistakes.
What, you mean sending Shana into her death? Sand.
Third time's the charm.
Partially, yes.
Wasn't smart.
Conversely, we would have
insisted.
died.
Yes, she saved our lives.
She insisted. I warned her not to go, but
Can you change into a giant turtle? Try to fight.
I probably could.
may-
Yeah.
maybe he just looks at you, smiling, and goes, I'm sure eventually, child, you could, but from what I've seen and gathered, you and I are of a different sort.
I could maybe be like a regular sized turtle.
That's
That
not
was
as
scary.
hurtful.
No, okay.
It's hard to ride like all of us on one small.
That's
This-
just something I'm really
Oh, I
scared
see.
of all turtles.
This
I was wondering which way.
This would be my suggestion. If the five of you follow this back way, this way up through the mountain, towards their base camp, and I, conversely, go back the way we came, up the mountain, hopefully I can intimidate my way into the camp, draw them together.
The last time you did that and you lost a fight, didn't they try and kill you?
They had been planning this for a while. And yes, they did. Son, if old age doesn't get me, the poison will eventually get me. If the poison doesn't get me, then I'll trip and fall into a crevasse. If that doesn't happen, I die in battle. I've accepted that I am not long for this world. If I can do it helping you and your friends and helping those whom I tried to help before, well, it will be a good death.
That seems fair. Let's go.
Doesn't solve the issue of us having no equipment.
Yeah. What do you have?
Do you have a stick for me, Grandad?
That's a nice stick you're walking with there.
I only said you're not long for this world.
Your death and all.
Oh, this old thing? No, you don't want this. But I have maybe a few spare of these, but I am not well, it's not how I fight. But wait here, I'll see what I can find.
Pounds.
That would be great.
Oh, right.
Very uncomfortable that we don't know what we're going into. We're going.
Death.
Oh,
We're emerging into the centre of their camp. We need to make our way, presumably through it, and out towards the pillars. We have no idea what the lay of the land is,
Or any way to protect
or
ourselves.
any.
I think we can
Well,
get
if we
some
get you
more
a stick, you're ready to go. These lads have got spells. I'm okay
Well,
with a
yeah.
stick. I'm not as good as I am with a bow, but
We'll be fine. We'll find our things. I think we can maybe find some more information. He used to run the circle, didn't he? He should surely know what their encampment looks like.
if I can get me bow and then we just challenge the leader guy to this duel of things, and I kill him, then I run the cult and I tell him to fuck off and give us our shit back. It's simple. What's the worst that could happen?
Well, you've said it now.
Yeah, why would you say that?
Because they literally already tried to kill us. Like,
It's true. That's true.
I don't have a better plan. Let's do it.
You hear thunder rumble in the distance.
Sweet. It's going to be epic.
I mean, he's probably arrogant enough to want to do a challenge like that, right?
Well, he already, yeah, and I think there's the whole honour thing. So.
Yeah.
Also, he seems like a bad guy, and I wouldn't feel bad killing him, so. Seems fair.
Mhm.
As long as I can get my shit first. That's
Yes,
quite
that's-
a big qualifier.
So, do we know where it is?
No, we have no idea.
Where did you find the small things at?
They were in a sort of hut not far from the pillars.
But before the plateau.
Yeah.
Okay. On the path.
Yeah, just by where we escaped from.
And there were no other things there, were there? It wasn't that you just didn't
No,
have time.
I looked and there was nothing else of value.
Did you fail your investigation check?
No, I don't think I did.
No, you did well.
You found the goo.
No, yeah, I did.
The goo.
Can anyone cast locate object?
Well, the only magic I can do is with arrows, so... Or bolts. Or this stick.
I can summon a blade still. I have that flaming blade, or that wonderful thing, that trick I can do that I wasted last time.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
Yes. Well, that gives me something for 10 minutes at least. To get caught off guard.
I think whatever's going to happen will happen within 10 minutes.
Yes.
It always does. And that's fine.
It's consistency, that's what the ladies love.
I can cast locate objects.
Fucking sweet.
Then we just hope that
She's
they're all
the
bundled
best new
together.
party.
I would just gently remind you that I believe locate object has a range of 1,000 feet.
It does, yes.
Just so you're aware.
How many feet in a mile? I should know that.
A lot.
5,200 something. Or 5,300 something.
Okay.
So we got a fifth of a mile.
Fifth of a
Down
mile.
hereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too bad. Get up to the top of this plateau
Yes, we just need
thing.
to get close enough
Could
to
we-
then hopefully find it.
Would we be able to estimate the distance between the pillars and the plateau?
The pillars and assuming that. Yeah, like, given what Orok's described to you, the distance from the pillars to the plateau is like 150 feet at most, if that.
Okay. Cool.
Dinner grand. Climb up this way, locate object, get shit, chance to duel, win cult. Sounds good.
It's all good except for one minor detail, which is you would die immediately in a duel. Which seems
Is they're bigger and
a
stronger than you.
slight omission. We did all
I
just run
have
for our
range.
lives.
I don't think you're allowed to, in a duel, stand behind something and shoot people with arrows. That's not really fair play.
I didn't say it was fair. They stabbed that guy and poisoned him. They're not really all about fair play.
But if you're saying you want to defeat his honour...
Yeah, but I do. I can
it's-
choose whatever weapons I want. I shoot him. Have you seen the exploding arrows? They're fairly good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, but he was really quite a large stag.
Snag,
Giant.
snag.
You snag.
Very good. So, Orok does come back. And
Why, Orok, you've brought all our things. That makes life a lot easier.
he comes back with sort of some things in his arms, and he puts them down at your feet, and he says, "I do have a couple of spare staves here, and I confess I'm much more of a fisherman, my friend, but he does hand you a short bow." And a quiver, but he just says, as I say, not much of a huntsman, but three arrows is something.
I'll take it. But I might take a stave as well.
He hands 2 staves.
Take it off you.
Fight me for it.
No.
Like,
Sorry,
you
my
can
old
genuinely...
I'll be fine.
You're not that
Stop that.
strong, are you?
Well, they won't hit me. Thank you for the compliment.
I'm thinking about the best use of what we
Yes,
have.
no, I understand. I should be fine.
Also, the flaming sword thing.
Yes, I have the flaming sword in my back pocket, and I mean, if you're
Would
challenging
be
the duel, then I
You have a flaming sword in your back pocket? Oh,
Instead of letting it order, you just pleased to see.
Yes. Yes, so I have that in well, just in case, and yes, well, like I say, hopefully they just won't see me.
Yeah.
Fine. Too fine, she's.
I feel more stealthy this morning than I did last night, so I think we might be okay.
As do I, my old friend.
You're
Stop
double
it,
more
stop it, all of
stealthy.
you. You're ruining the immersion.
My immersion. Right. Let's go hunt some orc.
Yes. Or do you know? This is obviously a stab in the dark, but you wouldn't know where we might find our belongings, where anywhere in particular. Obviously, I know they weren't really this awful, horrible kidnap murder cult when you were in charge, but
I can.
Right.
It's a joke.
It's a red turtle.
He says, I can make a very good guess, but I can't guarantee anything.
A good guess is better than we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, this place I'm taking you to, it's a bit further downstream than from where we were, from where we came from. So I will be going in the opposite direction. You'll be on your own in that regard. And he takes his stick and starts drawing in the dirt by the fire. And he shows you a vague map, which I can. No, I can't give you this page, but I can draw out a bit more of a map for you. But basically, you have the aforementioned described pathway that you escaped from, the stone pillars. Then you have, I'll do this from your perspective. So this is the entrance you escaped from. Stone pillars kind of out here, and then, no, out here, I suppose it would be. This is the mountain. This is where the gate is. The building that you took the stuff from is about here. And then it curves round up into a stair here. Stairs leading up. And then it opens up into a large open... This is the plateau that was mentioned. Towards the edge of this plateau, there is a raised section. Which, he points out this is a fairly recent edition, but I was able to see it before I escaped. It is a shrine of some sort. To what I'm not sure, but Thal, this dwarf, he makes reference to a master. That's all I can go on, I'm afraid. So here is this shrine. Just off here is Thal's personal hut. In the center of this plateau is a small dipped pit. Some 20-foot radius. That is sort of a fighting pit of sorts. And then here and here are some more buildings that are held up against the rock. This building here, on the right, the one nearest to the stairs leading up, that tends to be where they keep important things. I would hesitate to use the word armory, but it's the best analogy I can think of. If your valuables are anywhere, I expect it will be there.
And that's one of the buildings against the rocks, you said.
Yes. The entrance itself, secret entrance, there is a cave just in between these two buildings that is used for shelter. Most of the children think that just to be a cave for shelter, but there is an area in the back that leads into a secret passage. It was that way that I was able to escape. I would be very surprised if they have not discovered it by now, but it is, at least, a bit more of a surprise than the front gate.
Surprise is what
Perfect.
we need.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds good.
And a whole lot of luck. It's gonna be so hard.
That's our thing.
Very good.
And you, Orok, you will go and distract them and cause a ruckus, you said?
Yes.
Which area? So you'll be attempting to draw them out from the plateau. Will this be down towards the pillars? So
I can try, but all of the things that are important to Thor and his minions tend to take place on the plateau itself. He draws pleasure from it. I'm not sure why. Something about...
exhibitionism.
Which is fine.
Something to do with the convergence of the howling winds. He takes great pleasure in the whistling and piercing sounds that sometimes fly over that place.
Now, I'm very grateful for your kind offer and all.
But
But do you think that having watched his prisoners escape and then escape on the back of a giant tortle, they might think when the turtle turns up, where are the 5 other people that were with the turtle? Oh well, you know what I mean? And that's why it might be a little bit of an obvious plan, that's what I mean. We might get ourselves killed. Which would be bad. Except for you, because that's your thing.
seeking death and accepting death, friend, are not the same thing. But I take your point. Yes. Frankly, it is not perfect, but we are outnumbered and perhaps to an extent outmatched. If you have better suggestions, I am welcome to hear them, but...
No, you're right, it's a bad situation. We've got to make the most of it, I suppose.
Do we have any means to disguise ourselves? Or we rely solely on stealth?
I got nothing.
Yes,
I also have none.
that is another point. I'm not exactly the sneakiest of individuals right now.
In your current form?
True, but against enemies such as this, I'm going to need to reserve all of the energy that I can. In the form you saw me in yesterday, I stand a chance. But as I say, I feel it best to reserve all of my energy as possible. And who knows? If I fail, maybe you will be able to finish what I started.
Are you going to challenge him?
If I can. He will perhaps see my... He wanted to keep me as an example, and I'm sure as an eventual sacrifice. If he sees me again, well, as I say, the grip he holds over them is one of fear and intimidation. If they see their former leader come back, he will not be able to allow that challenge to his authority stand
But he
anymore.
must accept the challenge. If he's an alpha in a culture such as you describe, if another comes in and was to challenge the leader, he would have no choice. He would lose all authority if he didn't.
Exactly.
Perhaps having started this, once we get our weapons, there could be some means of escape. You don't have to go through with it. You could seek a very ceremonial battle. You could, I don't know of your traditions, but I'm sure there's some ceremony, throw some aplomb.
Challenge you to the ancient game of cards. We call it snap.
After all,
I like
all we
that
need
game.
is time.
Yeah.
Once we have our weapons, we'll be in a better position to decide what could be done.
There are I don't know how many if you were able to dispose of any of them, but at any one time, hunting parties aside, there may well be 24 of them in there.
Certain death.
Or, kill leader, I get the cult.
You've gone mad with power.
I haven't got the power yet. But you wait.
I don't have power. It's boring.
No one listens to you. I think that, if you'll pardon the pun, I think we need to cut off the head of the serpent.
Because they're the cult of the serpent.
They're not a cult.
Literally ate one of their own.
Yeah, sacrificing.
They weren't a cult.
That's really whatever. Don't really care about that.
I know, Drake, that you probably don't believe me, and that's fine based on what you've seen. I don't blame you, but for the most part, they are good people. I know. I don't expect you to agree with me.
My cult will not be sacrificing anyone. We'll be worshipping the whole.
Absolutely. The whole welcomes all.
And there's a 20-foot hole in the middle of the plateau. It's
Right.
perfect.
The whole has orchestrated this whole thing.
Very good.
I suppose we should go.
You are all very strange people.
That's how we deal with death. Right.
You'll find out.
Because that's your thing.
Well, if there's no preparation.
You're one to talk, friend.
From one old man to another, you know what it's like.
Well, indeed.
So hard.
Well, yes, I agree with you, Esther. I think we've done about all the preparation we can do. I kind of go to like rest my hands on my short sword and just... Yes. Shall we? Shall we go?
Yes, just think about your fiery back pocket, don't worry.
Yes. That is... yes.
Of course. One moment.
Did you get your tea?
Oh, yes. And he comes and leads you back inside, and as you sort of enter the house, he just goes, we've got to stop meeting like this.
Hey, baby, you come here often.
He's working on his tie five. No, that's gone. That's it.
Yeah, he's an old man, he's allowed some dad jokes. And he just sort of, as he's walking through, you notice he's just taking a very slow walk through, taking a look around. And he goes to the pantry, just and hands you a small bag, and he's in, like, you just...
You ever smelled colours?
You just get the impression, Vela, that he's saying goodbye to the place.
I'm just going to put my hand on his back.
He doesn't feel it, it's a shell.
Plonk.
He
Stop that.
he turns to you and nods and goes, "Thank you. For what it's worth, if I don't make it, Feel free to take whatever you want from here. I won't need it anymore.
Really?
Of course. Who better?
Thank you.
My pleasure. He takes one look around, and then walks to the door and sort of just pats the house. Says, "Thank you, my friend." And walks out. He moves over towards the lake and again just takes a brief moment looking out over the vista. He kneels down and takes just a big gulp of lake water. It's a beautiful place here. Anyway.
Don't worry, you've got a house on your back. You've always got your house with you.
Sure.
Must be nice.
Well, let's go. And you watch as he just shuts his eyes and his form begins to shift, begins to just expand outwards again into that familiar shape of this enormous turtle. Just kind of, sort of moving forward, down off the bipedal legs, down into the water, his form and shell, everything expanding until he has become much more, his turtle form is less the humanoid turtle and more the actual turtle. And he sits there by the water and sort of turns and gestures for you to get on.
Go, go, go.
Don't mind if I do.
I get on the turtle's back.
Yeah. So again, it's a slightly tight fit. You're able to sort of make yourselves a little more comfortable than you were yesterday, because you're not having to, cling on in a rushing stream. But again, it's not due to the shape and the size. It's not a super comfortable ride. You have to concentrate on holding on, but you're all able to fit. And he wends his way back the way he came, back out over the lake, through the wooded tributary, back onto the main path of the river. And instead of going right upstream, he turns left, heading downstream. And you travel on for maybe an hour or so. Downstream, the stream gets, down the river gets less and less fast, less and less rapid as you go along. Much more calm, much like the lake itself. But you're very much sort of you're still heading downhill, down the mountain. Eventually, he comes to a stop, beaches himself, and sort of, he says, which you get the impression of Vela is here.
We're here.
Sweet. I get off the turtle.
Jump off.
Yeah. He
Into the rapids. It's suddenly Damerus.
the turtle lifts one of its giant flippers and kind of points in a direction as best it can.
Herb shakes the giant flipper. Thank you very much for your hospitality, friend.
Yeah, try not to die.
It just sort of
Unless you want it.
It just sort of bows its head, then nods to you, and then turns to you, Vela, and goes, "Whoa, whoa." Which you take to mean two things: luck and thank you. and it gives you a very deep bow in its head. And then it slowly starts turning around as best it can and heads back into the river and starts swimming back upstream.
Let's climb us a mountain.
Yes. Let's try to do it quietly, shall we?
Yes.
What?
Drake, carry me.
No.
Fine.
You're faster than I am.
Do we get any sense of how far it is or how long we'd be travelling up the stairs?
So you're fairly near the base of a mountain. You're sort of on this riverbank. You're by some trees, so you can't tell exactly how far it is. But
Okay.
the impression you get, it was a very distinct point in a definitive direction.
I start walking definitively in that direction.
Right.
I follow.
I'm going to go in the middle of the pack because I have no weapons.
And who's bringing up the rear?
I can, I guess. Yeah,
Alright.
I will.
Cool. How are you travelling?
Stealthily.
Stealthily. Everyone make a stealth check for me.
Guidance on who's you're in front, right?
Yes.
In fact, who's shit stealth actually?
I'm the best at
Guidance.
stuff.
This is my first non-disadvantage roll in about 4 episodes.
Right?
You're welcome.
Guidance is a D4, is that right?
D4 to
Yes.
one ability check, so that's just one time.
Thank goodness for that.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
I believe also this is the first roll of the episode.
Yeah.
No, I rolled.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you did.
Sorry. Sorry about it. This is a team roll, so I'm saying.
So stealth rolls.
13.
Esther.
14.
14.
24.
Yes, Damerus!
There's the roll.
Someone's holding you back, man.
13.
13.
Natural 20. So
No.
25.
Ah, you piece of shit.
No, Connor. I believe the phrase is double D.
Double D. Hold up
Like,
party.
wait, where are Drake and Damerus?
Well, you get momentarily confused by the lack of people around.
Sounds like me.
So, you walk forward through this wooded area. It's not very heavily wooded. Not very many trees around, but enough. And you're moving carefully forward. Very aware of your of both the cold, the fact that you are miles from civilization. You can feel the wind blowing through your bones, and you feel the chill being in the clothes that you're in. And, the fact that you're very undersupplied at the moment. But you keep heading in this forward direction, led by Drake, and a few minutes later, like 5 minutes or so, you, Drake, even you managed to spot this.
Big.
It's a
I should probably look up.
Yeah, you as you're like you're sort of and then you remember Vela telling you, no, wait, look up, and
When I was being so stealthy.
yeah, and you look up and then you hold a hand. You see in front of you, the tree line stops, and about 30 feet ahead of you, I'd say, you can see an open cave mouth. And you know that this is the right place because it is guarded. You can see four figures.
4.
Yeah. 2 wolves, like regular sized wolves, and 2 individuals who are apparently children of the Serpent. You see a pair of male dwarves, untransformed, but dressed in the familiar hides.
And wolves. Is there any way that if we can tell if they seem more sentient than a wild wolf would be, or like a trained wolf?
Make
Are they doing crosswords or something?
Yeah.
They're wearing glasses.
smoking a bucket, playing cards.
As
Yeah.
the painting would suggest.
Make an insight check, Herb.
I literally am knocking an arrow as he's looking.
20.
So two things come. You look, and these wolves are just sort of looking around, sniffing, and two things.
Frank? Oh, Jesus.
Two things spring to mind. First is that just the impression you get, they don't seem to show any sort of abnormal level of intelligence. And the other thing that you remember is that all of the druids you've seen transform so far have transformed into much larger wolves. So it's possible, but you don't
get that.
You don't get that impression, no.
So I look at the rest of the group and I just point them.
The
How many did we say there were, sorry?
Two
Two
dwarves,
unchanged.
two untransformed
So 4.
druids and 2 wolves. You see they are a little bit in front of the cave. They are sitting around a fire, warming their hands.
They
Would you say they are clustered within, say, 10 foot?
So I will just say this. First, anybody who wants to make a perception check, please do so.
I will.
Would you say?
Yes, I would.
Sweet! I shoot one. The middle one.
18.
18.
Noted.
Noted. 20.
17.
17. 12.
I am ready to, by the way, do an action surge. My plan is to rapid fire.
Okay. So
All of your arrows.
Or 2 of the magic ones.
Right. So I will say that the 4 of you are behind
Immediately,
Drakentia.
just why I shouldn't do this. However,
You just the only thing that you happen to notice is that these dwarven individuals look very thin. They look very sort of malnourished, similar to how the rest of the family, San, Rock, their mother, looked. Not Boar, who looked very well fed. But they have that same sort of, weakened, malnourished look.
Lemon grab situation.
Possibly, yes. I'm not sure what explicitly you're referring to, but sure. So, Drake, are you exploding arrowing? Yeah.
well, I get to pick once it hits.
Wait until we at least they can't see us yet.
He's done it.
I did say, yeah.
And he rolled incredibly well on his stealth, so make an attack roll, Drake, with advantage.
Oh, sweet.
Because they don't know you're
Can
there.
you just make any arrow a magic arrow?
As when it hits, I can choose to explode it, basically.
But he has a certain number of uses.
23.
Yeah, just about.
So it hits, and they take, whoever I hit, again, most middle target, takes 10 damage.
Okay.
And then I explode it, and everything within 10 feet takes another 8 damage.
8 damage, okay. So, yeah.
God, I don't want to set off the alarm. I want them dead as quickly as possible.
I want to say behind you. Maybe just incapacitate them.
So as this happens, Drake, you release this arrow, and it explodes. There are bits of debris of the fire that are sent flying over across the dirt.
Any of them still standing?
So okay, I'm getting to that. So the guy that you shoot, he just gets shot directly in the chest. And the last thing he sees is he just looks down and his chest is blown apart, very dead. The 2 wolves and the other dwarf are thrown backwards by the surprise force of the explosion. And that they are, I will say, they are just knocked prone by the sheer force of it and by the surprise of it all. None of them look good. They are bleeding and bloody. They are still conscious, but the one that you shot, his entire rib cage has exploded. Definitely dead. And At this point, I will say everybody roll initiative.
That seems fair. Oh no.
That was so close. It literally just was like one psych.
25 to 20.
21.
24.
Ooh.
So fast. Somebody added to his
extra plus. I don't know.
Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Dex in 5e is broken. Love you 5th edition, but yeah. 20 to 15. Oh, and 15 to 10.
30.
12.
So the unarmed man is going.
They're all prone and
Go and stamp on
Just
the head.
yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, I've made it as easy as I could.
Val, what did you get?
5.
The wolves get knocked over and stuff as well.
Like, they don't know what
Too
shit.
busy like whacking you on the back. You're like, no, don't kill them.
Okay,
All I couldn't hear you when we're killing them.
Damerus,
Well,
you are
explosion.
Damerus, you are up first.
Were these dwarves armed at all?
You can see one of them holds a staff. Or well, the one holds a staff, but
Okay.
that staff is kind of, sort of almost sort of rolled away, within arm's reach, but like just because again they were taken by surprise.
I would like to move towards the staff. I would like to hit this man with his own staff.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm going to just use it with two hands actually because I'm not very strong. I'm
Are
not trained with
you
this.
aiming to kill?
No. I'm just looking to knock them out.
Okay.
Oh, this one.
You have advantage because they are prone.
Wonderful.
Are you proficient with staff?
They're simple weapons, aren't they?
I believe
Simple melee.
I believe so. I will double check. I will assume that they are. So
Yes, they are.
yeah.
So that is a with advantage 17.
Yeah, that hits.
Wonderful. And then it's a D10, isn't it?
With
Two
the
hands.
Nice D8.
Oh yes, a 6 and 8.
yeah, it's 6 and 8.
Sure. Let's see.
Plus strength.
Oh yeah. Minus.
So D8 minus 1.
No. Oh no.
That's not bad. 6 minus 1.
5. Yeah. So you just take this staff and like you're not sort of necessarily familiar with this weapon. You're much used to
go.
Yeah, exactly. You're much more used to sort of the fluidity of two weapons and moving from one target to the other. So you just like and like he as he is and looks up and just sees you and goes and is just cowering and then like knocked unconscious. Anything else?
No, what are you going to do? We don't have any rope to tie up.
Well, they're quite clearly scared of us.
The yell. Anything else, Damerus?
No, I just stand ready, I guess, because
Okay.
I can't do anything else.
Immediately shot by 7 arrows.
Yeah.
Esther.
Battalion inside the
Yes.
cave. We didn't see.
What are we using for how many things you can? Can I cast 2 cantrips, or are we
If
saying
one is
you can cast one spell of it?
if one is a bonus action.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
What are the cantrips?
Dull the Dead for my action,
Yep.
and I can use Spare the Dying as a bonus as a grave cleric.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Yes. I checked. So officially, the rule is if you cast one spell, you can only then cast a cantrip as an action or a bonus action. I apply that to pretty much everything with the exception of Healing Word, because just again, that's just one of those spells that I think you should be able to do that because it's literally just going So
Elf. But with a word.
yeah.
Word.
Beautiful. Can I please have a wisdom saving throw from the druid who's still standing?
The
Druid is now unconscious.
Druid is
Just
just
the
not
wolves.
unconscious, just the wolves.
Oh yeah, because it's a very dead one.
Yes.
On the healthiest looking wolf.
Okay. Wisdom saving throw, DC. Yeah, no, that's a failure. So that's a
One
full-
arrows.
full-
1d12.
1d12, correct.
Because it's
They-
arrows.
Yes.
No!
Reroll that.
12.
Like these are not very hale wolves. You watch as just like this. There's just this like very brief, dong, and the wolf just and it just sort of twitches and then falls to the ground, just like its
Still a
foot.
wolf.
Still a wolf. Its foot like just twitching, but like its foot is twitching, but there is blood just dribbling from every sort of facial orifice.
Oh. Nice. And I'm not going to use better dying.
I'm wrath. It's terrible, my retribution.
Fair enough.
That's me.
Okay, cool. Herb, you're up. There is one very bad-looking wolf.
Kill him, Grandad.
It is, yeah.
I'll fly and hit it with a staff.
Okay, make your attacks with advantage because it's prone.
Uh, 22?
22, yep, that is. Yeah, no, don't roll damage. Take your victory.
I want to do a flip and land on his head.
Yep, easily enough for you to do. You're just and just like your staff cracks its skull, and it again, and then falls dead to the floor.
Is the druid that blew up, is there any sort of semblance of remains and clothes or anything searchable?
Make an investigation. You can make an investigation check, but his chest literally exploded.
Look, he wasn't using it anyway.
I was also
Okay, no, he very much was using it anyway.
Not for long.
12.
Search corpses, basically.
yeah. I would like to search the unconscious man if possible.
I would like to try and retrieve my arrow.
Okay, here's a question.
Tell me what you think about me.
Tell me what you think about me.
Thanks, man.
So, I'll open this to the floor because I think it's an interesting point of discussion. Can you retrieve an exploding arrow?
No.
But I don't know if the point is I don't know if it's the arrow or if it's a force that emanates
It's
from
like a
the
magical
arrow.
effect.
Yeah, it's more of an effect than the arrow itself.
Yeah, I think if there were practical exploding arrows, like some kind of explosive mixture on an arrow, then
But
definitely
doesn't the
not.
force say anything take damage?
No, it says
any-
targets.
Yeah.
Oh, does it?
It's
So
like, say
a-
creatures.
I-
of 10 foot.
So it's not.
I agree
No, it's a
that it's
magical effect.
It doesn't damage.
Yeah.
I agree that it's a magical. To be honest, I don't particularly mind either way. I'm just sort of. I want to sort of establish a rule. Is that would the magical force? Do you think explode the arrowhead?
I think it doesn't for the same reason it can't. I think it emanates from and kind of like a bubble almost.
It's a normal arrow that you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Magic.
Yeah, because it does become a magic arrow, I think, as well.
Oh,
Cool.
if it's a magic item, then it won't. Yeah, it
Yeah.
won't go up.
Okay. Cool. Yep. That's that. I'm convinced. Roll to retrieve.
Sweet.
From
And what?
where?
I do. And I just come over and just...
Pull it out of
Yeah.
his
From
No, he's just in a circle. There's nothing. There's my arrow.
Cool.
You're a keeper.
Yeah. So, in terms of investigation, I will say you find very little on these guys. You find a total of 10 copper pieces between them.
Here you go, Damerus.
Thank you. I just
The-
kind of hold
the-
the coins loosely.
Put them in your fiery back pocket.
I will say, for the sake of ease and argument, these robes do have pockets.
I'm not going to put the coins in there, otherwise I'll jingle jangle.
I think you mean you'll jangle jingle.
That too. So I will say that. So anything else that the dead dwarf had on him is now unusable because it exploded. Whereas the other dwarf does have some. There is the staff that Damerus has claimed, and there is also a set of hide armor on him. Should anyone wish to claim that?
Yeah,
Yes.
you have a maximum +2 depth.
I'm not.
Bella, did you have a question?
I want to just try and stabilise the walls.
It would actually decrease my AC.
No!
Wolves are dead. Wolves are
No!
like the one is bleeding from its mouth, its nose, its ears, and the other its skull has been caved in. They're very dead.
Can I
Let's
look
go
around
do
to
any
find
armor? Can you
Like, is there any trees or anything that does
Yes.
any vines or anything that we
Yeah.
might use as
Yeah.
ropes to
Do you want
try
to
and
put on the
scare
hide?
Make a survival check.
Gives you 12 plus your dex mod as an AC.
Oh, SMA.
Esther's taking the
21.
hide on.
Sorry.
Esther's taking the hide on.
Cool.
21.
21. You look around and you are able to find, like, I will say on a nearby tree there is a growth of ivy on on some branches just above, and it takes you a moment because it's you're a halfling, but it's a few feet above. But you are able to gather some ivy as best you can, sort of trying to use your robes to, not touch it. And it's probably not very good.
Yeah.
You're useful, or it's not, it's not rope, so
Yeah,
to speak.
sure.
But it's, I will give you, say, about 10 foot of the stuff. So,
Anyone good with knots? Anyone seaman?
I mean, I'm trained to navigate the seas, but not tie knots.
Why did you not get that on using the ropes of the dead guy? Just tear someone
Because
down.
he blew up.
Yeah, but his legs are fine. It was his chest.
But, yeah, let's tie him up. Yeah.
I will say there is a, are you tying him up, Damerus?
Yes.
Cool, make a dexterity check. Well, yeah, make a dexterity check with advantage.
Good at dex now.
Now.
Was it trying to tie up the kid? And all
I
this
just rolled the
together?
exact same number twice. 12.
12. Okay. I mean, it's tricky because, this is, you're trying to be careful not to touch the ivy too much, and you do touch it a bit and your hands are going to be a bit itchy for the next day or so. But,
You are exhausted.
Like,
There's advantage in everything.
yeah, it's it's an irritant. It's not super poisonous or anything. But you're able to get a very rudimentary tie around his hands, because some of it's broken off because of the cold and this, that, and the other. You weren't, so I will say you have a very rudimentary tying around the hands, but that's it. You don't have enough for anything else.
Nice. Yeah, that's enough.
Mm.
Do we want to try and talk to this fellow before we move on, or should we just go?
Well,
We're not going to learn anything we haven't already learned from Orok.
The whole point, we're trying to do this without drawing too much attention. So if he starts getting up and shouting, isn't that going to alert people?
Did you see the look in his eyes when I knocked him unconscious? He was terrified. They're emaciated. These aren't anything important. He'll likely wake up, see everyone else dead, and leave.
You don't think he'll go to his big fortress thing with all his friends and be like, there are people killing us?
If he tries, he'll walk
We'll
through
get
us.
there before.
We'll be in the passage.
I guess. Just say, the last time we left these fuckers tied up,
Yeah, he's not wrong.
we thought it was the merciful thing, and you know what happened? They fucking abducted us.
Let's vote. Vote's the kill.
Do what you like. I'm gonna scout ahead. I wander into the beginning of the tunnel.
That's a vote of 3.
Herb swings his staff straight into his face.
There's a very sharp snapping sound.
That didn't feel good.
Democracy is the bitch.
Let's go.
It's not good, but it was the right thing.
Praise be to the whole.
And on that note, some of you feeling that was the right thing to do, others of you with a bitter taste in your mouth of what just happened, others with a mixture. You make your way forward towards the cave mouth and begin the climb up to the base to save your friends. And that is where we will end today's adventure.